Hey there, Sanka, everybody. Welcome back for another Marhaba Crypto Show episode with myself today. As always, I got Moby Sadiq. Moby, how's your day? What's going on? How are the kangaroos?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing very well. Not as well as you. Where are you, man? You look like you're in a sauna. I feel like I'm gonna see like a dude in a towel walk past you. Where are you right now?
I'm actually in my house in Pakistan, Lahore. It's one of the rooms which is kind of empty. That's why you might even hear a little bit of an echo. But yeah, it's uh,
Awesome.
it's it's supposed to be the new wallpaper. I don't know. You're not liking it. You're not feeling the vibe.
Look, as long as your new wife to be, who I'm sure by now your mother must have found you someone. As long as she likes it, then that's okay. It's not up to me.
Uh, that search is still on delay. So let's just say there's no one yet.
Fantastic, fantastic. Oh, good. All right, let's kick it off, Ahmed. I think we've got an awesome show today. Can't wait to get started. Obviously, we've had a few tumultuous weeks, so maybe we don't take
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks off again. But yeah, let's get the show rolling.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so guys, today we're gonna be, as always, having the market update. After that, we're gonna be doing a Marhaba update. This Marhaba update is gonna be very important. You want to stay. This is an opportunity that you guys don't want to miss out. So, if you don't want to listen to Moby, you can skip it. But I would recommend listen to Moby and then you listen to the Marhaba update. After that, we're gonna talk about a few other important concepts such as taking profit and what steps you can take to take profits. Some things that I personally do, I'm going to talk about that. Moby can also a little bit chime into that conversation. And then after that, we're going to talk about the insight of the week, which is going to be about index funds or mutual funds for crypto, which is a smart idea if you don't want to do all the research and then invest, right? So if you just want to invest and let somebody else manage it, that's the way to go, which we'll talk about at the ending. So with all that said, Moby, floor is yours. Go for it.
Awesome. So, what a couple of weeks it has been. It's been insane couple of weeks in crypto. I'll just sort of bring up my screen to share with you guys. You guys can see that now. So, in the space of what? A week, right? Barely a week. We've been dealt by not just one blow by China, but two blows by China. And if you look at the timing, it's a little bit sus, right? But let's just kind of look at the figures. I'm not here to do an Alex Jones on you. I'm not here to do any conspiracy theories on you. But let's just look at the facts, right? So we had here around the 20th to 21st the Evergrande collapse. So Evergrande is China's second largest property developer. It's not necessarily important, but it is important. And essentially, what's happening with these guys? They have a $30 billion debt or something like that they can't pay. And when you have a big market player in the markets, in equities, so we're talking about shares here, that can have a huge knock-on effect. It can have a huge effect on the rest of the market. And of course, China being one of the world's largest economies, that's affected equity markets. And at the same time, ironically, even though Bitcoin's supposed to be a hedge against traditional markets, ironically, that has also affected Bitcoin as well. So we had that on the 20th, right? And not to China doesn't do things on half measures, not to be underdone. Then just a couple of days ago, China banned crypto again, right? So even if you're new to crypto, even if you've just been in crypto in 2021, you've already kind of seen this. You've already felt this. But what you may not realize, like how often China sort of does this. And I kind of want to take pause and just sort of share what the Chinese government had said, right? The official statement by the Chinese government: virtual currency trading hype activities have risen, disrupting economic and financial order, breeding illegal and criminal activities, and money laundering. So apparently they're looking out for the people. Now talk about the kettle calling itself black, or calling whatever that saying is, right? Calling the kettle black, right? This this just makes me laugh. China, probably high up on the list of human rights violations, right? Again, the Chinese government, not Chinese people. We love Chinese people. The Chinese government to go out and sort of, jump on that horse. It's got nothing to do with anything, but I just find that hilarious, right? But when you kind of dig deeper a little bit, you have to sort of think about why China does this. They always have an ulterior motive. So here, I'm sharing a tweet by Blockworks. They mentioned a couple of facts for us. When China banned Facebook, they created Weibo. When they banned YouTube, they created Youku. That's a very creative, isn't it? Youku. They banned Google, they created Baidu. They banned WhatsApp, they created WeChat. They banned Bitcoin, and they're creating the E1, right? Now, even if you've just been following crypto this year, every time China bans crypto, the bounce from that point onwards it's often not financial advice, but it's often a good time to buy. And this goes all the way back to 2013, 2017, 2018, twice in 2018, 2019, and just recently in May, we had a 15% jump after China so-called banned crypto. That one was, obviously these are different things. Last time they kicked out the miners and the hash rate, so the amount of, I guess, transactions Bitcoin could produce or record dropped by 60%, and Bitcoin passed that stress test with flying colors. And here we are again in this sort of banning again. Now, what the smart companies are doing, so even FTX, I think this is yesterday. Just yesterday, less than a day ago, Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX, funnily enough, said, look, we're moving our Hong Kong headquarters, because obviously linked to China and somewhat. China still has somewhat of a control or hold over Hong Kong, whether or not they actively show it. They're actually moving their headquarters or creating a new one in the Bahamas. And it actually says one of the few places to set up a comprehensive framework for crypto, FTX is registered. So, businesses are, they're looking at different ways, like DeFi does not need borders. Crypto does not mean borders. Again, we are going to talk about, today's a very, very important episode. Like just Ahmed, you and I were talking about this before. Again, we're going to deep dive into this a little bit later, but this has been a great reminder. Take profits, set your stop losses. So at one side, I'm sort of telling you that it's nothing to be worried about from a long term, but from the other side, it's a good reminder. Don't leave, yourself hanging with hands out there. So, before we kind of go any further, did you want to make any comments around that, Ahmed? Obviously, we've got a little bit of a deep dive later on this.
Yeah. As always, you know that the crypto world is gonna go up over time, and you can invest without that whole fear and all that stuff. But at the same time, you do not want to be letting go of opportunities that are coming in between, and you always want to make sure that you are making sure that your risk is being hedged as much as possible. So you got to do your part of that. You got to put your stop losses and all that stuff also in place. So I agree with you 100%. And about the China stuff, man, there's there's a lot that we can be said, but I think the show will be very specifically on one topic.
We're trying really hard not to be politics showy, right? So, but look, it is what it is. It's funny, you can't help laugh, but it's not the first time we've done this stance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, obviously we're looking at the fact that, who has actually been selling, right? When you have these dips, that means someone is sort of selling. Now, often it is triggered by a couple of whales, so big holders. But when you look at actually who's been selling, it isn't really institutions. So for the 5th week in a row, institutional investors have increased their crypto holdings. So we're at record level of crypto being held by institutions. If I can go back to my screen here, when you look at Ethereum, right? Look at the queen of crypto who, she's suffered a bit of a loss this week, which I'm going to talk about. Look at this here on my screen here. We're looking at the ETH locked into DeFi, so decentralized finance. Whilst all this is sort of happening, ETH is quietly approaching all-time highs. We're pretty much sort of there. So, when you look at layer 1 solutions, when you look at DeFi, you look at institutions, there was a story I was going to share today, but I'll mention it briefly just for brevity. But in the space of a couple of days, JP Morgan came out and said, oh, look, you got to be careful. They actually said Ethereum is double the value that it needs to be. In the space of a couple of days later, they come out and sort of say, you know what, this is where you need to be putting your money. Now, of course, if you kind of look between the lines, okay, they could say, oh, one department said this, one department said that. But just like the China joke thing, and I think you've seen this too, Ahmed, this JP Morgan thing, we've almost been trained to do the opposite of what people like JP Morgan say. But it makes you laugh.
I find it all really funny because they're talking about crypto like this, but look at stocks. About almost all the tech stocks and all those other big stocks are beyond imaginable overvalued. Like if you do the calculations by analysis of their cash flow statements and all this stuff, they're much overvalued than they should be. And so when they come out and they say, "Oh, crypto is overvalued," and then right after they come out, that means even that they're learning, they're even also understanding. And at the same time, you're right. It's a slightly bit of a play of push and pull for the market.
Absolutely. We see this time and time again. So
Yeah.
at this point, what I want to do, and I've shared this with you guys in the past, I want to give you an update on the Fear and Greed Index. If this is the first time you're tuning in, I've spoken about this. This is actually a very I guess, organized, comprehensive measure of the level of fear and greed in the market right now. They look at sentiment, they look at on-chain metrics, they look at a whole bunch of stuff. But last week we were in neutral, and right now we're at fear. And we've said this before, I think it's a Warren Buffett line, when markets are greedy, you need to be fearful. When markets are fearful, you need to be greedy. Still, you have to be cautious. I don't want you now putting all your bags of money in and sort of saying, yeah, cool. Generally, that is a good rule. And long-term value investing, that's what we sort of want to see. Like last Monday, and I'll share a couple of coins I bought on Monday on the dip. I bought a whole bunch of coins on the dip. Right, they're coins that I think they have good fundamentals, and I think they're going to do well. But I still have my protections in place. Just quickly on the Evergrande thing too. So this is an update on that. This was just about a day ago. About a day or two ago. Evergrande actually missed their payment deadline. So, as debt-laden Chinese property giant enters 30-day grace period, officials look to limit unrest and job losses. So, what actually happens now is they've sort of said, look, they've passed that deadline. They had $305 billion due. Again, this is a just funny thing. I've got to share this. A Thursday deadline for paying the $83 million passed without remark from Evergrande. The bondholders had not been paid nor heard from the company. Now, we talk about Brother Naguib, awesome guy, probably one of the best guys you can have to hold a project. But if Naguib didn't hear from you for a week, Ahmed, and there was $5,000 sitting there that you owed, do you know what I mean? Like, that wouldn't go down nicely, right? So the fact that they can just sort of not say anything, I find quite comical. But kind of to go back to Ethereum. Now, obviously, Ethereum is my biggest holding. I'm a huge fan of Ethereum. I think it's a safe bet. Ethereum has also, obviously, if you look at my screen here, just a trading view chart, I'll just zoom in a little bit there. Obviously, it suffered the experience, the downturn when the Evergrande thing happened, when China banned crypto happened. And right now, it is struggling to break that 2,900 US dollar mark. So this has turned now from support. This had been support for a while. It's turned into a little bit of resistance. And it's the one coin I have my most notifications on. So I see it all the time. Drop below 2,900, drop below 2,900. So you do want to be cautious. As they say, when in doubt, zoom out. You can see here on my chart that this is a trend line I drew months and months ago. And I'll zoom out and I'll show you what that trend line is. This is the long-term trend line that it can be argued demonstrates fair value of Ethereum. So you can see here when we sort of had that dip in May, we were still sort of above it. Then Ethereum sort of had this downturn, and then we're below this trend line. And right now, funnily enough, not only are we bouncing off the $2,900 mark as well, but you can see here we're bouncing off that I guess that diagonal trend line as well. So at this point, Ethereum is still at fair value when you consider its historical measure, but there is some caution. There is a little bit of worry that if we do sort of drop, if we lose this, then we're going to go all the way down to 2,400, and then we have a lot of support at 2,200. So these are some levels you should be looking out on. If we break a level, maybe consider, if we break an upward level, maybe consider taking profits. If we break 2,900, look for opportunities at 2,400. Not financial advice. But that's all my news on Ethereum. Actually, just on Ethereum as well. Ethereum is not dead, right? So like I sort of mentioned, literally 2 screen shares ago, the value locked in Ethereum is hitting all-time high. But I'm sure you've thought about this as well, guys. Like, gas fees, right? How do we get over gas fees? Well, that's what layer 2 is all about. So if you're not familiar with layer 2 protocols, not all of them, but generally what layer 2 protocols are designed to do is take the congestion and load off of Ethereum. So you have things like Matic, right? So with NFTs, a lot of NFTs you can buy on Ethereum. There's certain NFTs like Zrun where if you actually try to buy it, it makes you go through Matic first, right? So you don't have to worry about Ethereum's gas fees. Anyway, just some data on that. Data shows parabolic style growth in layer 2 based DeFi and DEX platforms. So the amount of money on these layer 2s is increasing because Ethereum 2.0 is not here yet because we are still suffering a lot of gas fees. If I can give you a really, really good example of this, EY, so Ernest and Young, recently announced an integration with Polygon protocol and framework on Ethereum scaling solutions. Now, obvious reason why they're doing this, their institution clients will have access to Ethereum, they will have lower fees, and they can still do what they've been doing because the matter of the fact is Ethereum still is first mover advantage. It still runs DeFi. A dumb word of that could be banks, crypto banks or crypto lending, whatever you want to call it. It still runs that market. And I'd be a little bit more worried if it wasn't for the fact that... So I'm a Solana bull as well. I love Solana. It's one of my biggest holdings. But Solana, and I don't have a screen share here, but you guys may have noticed in the last week they had a little bit of an outage. It might have been 2 weeks ago, where for almost a whole day, you couldn't trade on it. And the reason for that apparently was there was a denial of service attack on the blockchain. But don't think institutions didn't notice that. So secretly, although, I wasn't happy that happened with Solana. Secretly, I kind of was because I'm Ethereum bull. Most of my money is in Ethereum. And billion-dollar companies can't afford 24 hours of outage. So Ethereum's not going anywhere, but there is still a lot of space to run in other blockchains as well. Your thoughts on that, Ahmed?
My thoughts on the actual occurrences and all that stuff, a little bit less, but more on one concept that you talked about, which you didn't highlight. You have Solana, you have Ethereum, like I do. I also have second layer solutions, first layer solutions, but I'm still diversified. You have a few solutions that have the same utility, but you're still diversified. I think this is one entire topic I think we should be talking about in the next show for sure. The concept of diversifying your portfolio, even though they both are doing similar stuff, because you know that one's going to do better than the other. You don't want to have such high risk within one. You have diversified. So that is something I think we should highlight a little bit more, and we'll do that in the next show.
Absolutely. I think that you're right. That's a topic in itself, and you can diversify in different areas. You can diversify in a utility. So like NFTs versus gaming versus DeFi, or within DeFi, Solana, Ethereum and whatnot. And funnily enough, I have, on that note, I want to talk about Cardano. Just to sort of finish off my Ethereum talk here, ARK Investments. So Canadian, for some reason, Canadians have jumped into the ETFs before Americans have. You guys are pretty smart when it comes to that sort of stuff. But ARK Investments, a very well-known investment firm, they've been waiting for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs where they can trade, I guess, on the equities market. It's not happening. So now, Kathy Wood from ARK Investment, she's like, well, let's just invest in the Canadian ones, right? So that's what they're advising their clients to do. Now, speaking of other, layer one blockchains, when you sort of look at Cardano, so for example, I'm just looking here, coin market cap, it's out of, now everything's kind of bounced back a little bit. Bitcoin back up 0.76%, Ethereum 0.62%, Cardano 6.8%. So it's kind of been the best performer in the top 10, and it's experienced almost a little bit of a delayed explosion. So we've said this before, buy the rumor, sell the news almost always works. It's always a good idea to, if something is hyped up, you can, get into it. But when the event actually happens, because the expectations were so high, it's a good time to sell. Same thing sort of happened. Cardano launched 100, smart contracts or protocols on Cardano launch. Nothing happened. Cardano dipped. There was announcements from Charles Hoskinson that a whole bunch of other stuff is on the cards. Nothing happened. Cardano dipped. So now we're kind of getting that that kind of delayed explosion now, even though there's no sort of FUD. One thing I will sort of say that although there is a lot of stuff coming in Cardano, here I can see from Bitcoin.com a report on over 2,300 Cardano smart contracts awaiting in time lock. Still, the price still decreased. So there's a lot of projects on the boil. There's a lot of sort of hype. All I'd say is just be careful. I'm not a Cardano a bear. I'm not a Cardano fighter. But I would just say be careful. We've spoken about this before, Ahmed, but like I would take profits where you can on Cardano. If you sort of like see a bit of a boom, take profits, maybe considering other things. And the reason for that is, yes, smart contracts are here on Cardano, but just barely. And whilst, Charles Hoskinson has been taking the academic approach, we're not in universities, we're in the world of business, and speed kills in business. So in that time that Cardano has been just dragging its feet, Avalanche, which is a coin I bought on Monday, a layer 1 solution, AVAX, right? That's been doing well. Algorand has been doing well. That's another one I picked up on Monday. They've had all this news about millions and millions of dollars being poured into these projects. So Cardano really only has one point of difference, and even that is slipping, and that's community, in my mind. Anything Cardano can do, Solana can do better. And Solana now is also building that community. So not a fudder, still a fan of Cardano, but I'm just sharing with you guys what I do with myself. Where you can take profits, I would move them out of Cardano. Your thoughts on that, Ahmed? What's your feel and vibe behind what I've said there on Cardano?
I would maybe key a little bit on the other side. I wouldn't say buy, but I would say maybe still hold, because due to that, we're still in that phase of the crypto market where hype and community is what determines price. We're not at that point where utility is determining price as a whole, right? If you're talking about what's determining the price of a token or a project, it's not as of yet. Unfortunately, I would say I'm going to use the word unfortunately. It's not utility yet, and we're slowly moving towards that with institutions coming in, with people being more educated on crypto, people starting to invest based on utility. But we're not at that stage where people are investing based off of utility or with a big backing and reasoning. Right now, it's all still, a lot of it is still marketing and hype. And so due to that,
not actual utility and things that have happened. You're right, because Cardano,
exactly,
not a lot has happened. Yes, I see what you're saying there.
They got a community, right? And they got a loyal
That's an
community.
asset. That's an asset, not downplaying that, yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe if you're planning for maybe 10 years or 7 years or 5 years, then maybe you're correct, if Cardano continues being the way that they are. But you got to remember, Cardano's behaving the same way Ethereum used to behave. Right. They had a lot of things that were on plan, but they were always delaying. I think their Ethereum 2.0 was delayed for some time also, right? So this is like, and the last time I was actually talking to the tech team of Marhaba, and I was like, what's going on? Where's this and where's that? What's going on with this? And they were like, well, welcome to the crypto world. The delays are basically, we were joking about it, but
half of the course.
But right now, it's part of the industry right now. We're trying our best to not be part of that industry, like that aspect of the industry. But the reality is, that's all there. So the delays are going to happen, but because they got community, and right now community is what's that R2, the correlation is stronger with with the community. Sorry, I'm using economic tricks here, but it's stronger with the community and the numbers. So that's why right now I would say maybe for a few more years, it might not be a big time seller, but it might be just a hold.
Yeah, fair enough. No doubt their community is the envy of a lot of projects out there for sure. Speaking of Solana, and kind of going back to my screen here, is Solana's hit a little bit of maturity point. It obviously it's crushed it. So if you made money on it, like I have, take profits. Congratulations, great. Maybe not necessarily a good time to, I guess, ape into Solana. But what I am interested in, and this is what, we touched on this just a few moments ago around, diversifying. So even Solana itself, one thing I'm very bullish on, Solana long term, absolutely. I think by the next bull run, I think whether it's Solana or like an AVAX or something else, I do think Cardano has a lot to work for to keep that position. What is it, 2-3 now? But position
Mhm.
three, sorry, after Bitcoin, obviously, I think it could be toppled. But the Solana ecosystem, right, the things that are built on it. So let me give you an example, as opposed to talking theoretics. Orca is a project on Solana. It's built on this. So if Solana is like, the highway, Orca is one of the, roads that are built on that highway. It's one of the, or maybe the buildings that are built on that highway. And you can be a liquidity provider. So here you can see,
Mhm.
if you provide, so liquidity providing is when you supply both sides of that market, and you get returns. So if you, for example, this one here, I'm looking at providing a pair of USDC and USDT, 26.8% return. Now this is why, guys, institutions are like frothing, right? Because if you get 2%, 4%, you barely cover like inflation. They're happy, right? So, and they've got a whole bunch here: Solana, USDC, 80%. There's one that I'm looking at personally, Orca and Solana. So with Orca and Solana, you would provide, I don't know, say maybe $1,000 of Orca, $1,000 Solana, and this is based on the 7-day. This is not necessarily guaranteed, but based on the 7-day return, they've got 290% return. Now, just word of caution before you go crazy and sell everything and buy half Orca, half Solana and go on this website and do that. Generally, when you see things like this, you're generally hitting a peak with a liquidity pool, and it will slide downwards. But like even if it goes to 20% of that or 10% of that, 30%,
Mhm.
that's still something to write home about, right? Now,
Mhm.
and the market is loving Orca too. So I'm not necessarily saying ape into Orca, but Orca's one that has been on my watch list. I'll be honest with you guys, not something I invested in. But when you look at Orca, it is sitting at, what is this? Let me just check. This is US, this is US, not Australian kangaroo dollars. $18.27 per token. It's gone up 25% in the last day. This is probably that time, guys, just to sort of, again, so you don't get excited. This is not where you necessarily buy, but you add it to
Mhm.
your watch list, look for a dip. This is literally the last 7 days. Like, this thing is going crazy. Now, the price action is all great, right? Everyone loves price action. But seeing the price action correlated with the fact that now $500 million or more than almost 600 billion dollars is locked into Orca, very bullish stuff. The final piece of advice I'll sort of give you is, coin market cap. You see me share that screen all the time. It has categories. Like, you can actually look into categories. So for example, they have a Solana ecosystem category as well. So on my screen here, you can see USDT, Solana, Terra Luna, Chainlink. Now, some of these they're not only Solana, right? They have bridges, right? So Chainlink obviously works across everything. They're bridges. But then there are some that are only Solana. If you click onto these, you can do your research. Serum, Radium, Coin98, Mango Markets, Star Atlas. A lot of these are Solana-based ecosystems, not financial advice. So if like me, you're impressed by Solana, its speed and what it can do, then check out CoinMarketCap and do that. Or check out the NFT category, check out the gaming category, check out the privacy coin category, right? But just on that note, I think that's a good market summary for the last week a week or so. And I guess that's the market update, Ahmed. Back over to you.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, a few things. One thing about Orca is that we will be giving you guys a Sharia compliance test on it by next week or in between this week, because there might be some things that might be questionable on it. But I think other than the main concept, which is liquidity printing, that's fine. But maybe Orca
Liquidity
itself
providing.
may, yeah, that's what's main concept is what's important. But which doesn't have any issues, but it might be that Orca might not be using the right mediums of liquidity providing. Now
And that's
that
why
being
you're here. You're my disclaimer. So you're my disclaimer. But yeah, like
so that being
having said that, like
that
Solana
being
is still okay, right? Like Solana itself
yeah.
would still be okay. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, if you're interested in stuff like Orca, the Marhaba wallet will have solutions for it in liquidity providing. But Orca as an organization on Solana, that's what we're talking about. Look at the concept of like how much can be built on Solana, what can be done on Solana, and the future of it versus projects like Cardano, Ethereum, and all that. Even though Moby's saying he's not against Cardano, it seems like due to such projects like Solana, he's gonna be selling his Cardano soon. So I'm gonna be a little
Look,
bit leaning towards
I'm
I'm
a
holding it.
FOMO is a real thing, right? Like FOMO is a real thing. I'm not immune to that, but you just like I've made money on Cardano. I didn't buy it a month ago. I made money on Cardano. I made money on Solana. So it's one of those that I kind of look at it from a business, and I don't want this to turn into a Cardano thing, or a Cardano
Yeah.
debate or anything. But I look at Cardano and I'm like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know what I mean? So I don't want anyone to think I'm bearish against it. I've still got. It is probably the only reason why Solana is my biggest holding now is because of the boost, the pump. But in terms of the money I've put in, it's probably second on my list. I'm just sort of saying, it's a good time to sort of look at taking profits, which you should anyway. But yeah, you probably want to hold a little bit longer than me. But still a great project. I still think it's amazing. I
Listen,
still think it's a good project.
I agree with you. I've also invested when I was 60 cents or something like that. So I've also done fair well on it, but I think I'm gonna hold it for a little bit longer. Okay. Now again, we'll give you guys the sheer compliancy of Orca um, in the middle of this week because it's gonna require some testing and all that stuff, and if not by next show for sure. So we've got you into the loop of the concept of liquidity providing. Now the goal is to show you guys which are the ways. So next week we can talk about that for sure. Now we'll jump on to the Marhaba updates. First of all, guys, there's a new competition that's going on. It's called the slogan competition. We need your help. Jump on the competition. You can make money, and you can probably help us determine our next slogan for the project. It's a win-win situation. Why not, right? So check it out. Go on our social media. You can start applying for that and start jumping on that. Next thing is this is huge news. So I know a lot of people have been messaging in our social media and in Telegram, direct messaging me about how can I get involved, how can I buy this token, and all that stuff. So the pre-public sale round one, will be starting on October 7th. It will be public. It will be through our website. It will be done through a dashboard, and and that dashboard will be an easy-to-use self-service based dashboard. So go on the website, just put in your information, you'll buy the tokens, put your money through, you'll get a SAFT agreement. The SAFT agreement is an industry standard, and a good project would usually have a SAFT agreement in some form or way. So you guys will get those agreements, knowing that you guys will be getting your tokens, and there's a method on how you will be getting your token, the vesting period. Now, if you're excited and you really want these tokens, I highly, highly recommend you go into the white paper, you scroll down to the private whitelist round, and you read the details on there because it's a very specific vesting period. It's a very specific way of how that round is being managed. Check it out and see if it works for you. And it's a great opportunity. And the reason why I'm going to say it's a great opportunity, not a sales pitch here, guys. This token is you're at this round, you're gonna get it at a discount of 40+%. So that's a huge opportunity. Me and Moby were actually talking about this the other day, and I was thinking maybe I should put more money in from my previous investment. And we were talking about if it's a good buy and stuff. And the reality is, for my humble opinion, personal opinion, it's still a good buy. So if you're interested, jump on. There's gonna be a dashboard for you guys. It'll be easy to use. You can jump on and you can get it. Um, the next news. All right, we have new channels. If you are somebody who doesn't speak English and needs Arabic or Turkish or Russian help with Marhaba and just have questions and need answers, we have three new channels that are already made. They're thriving. They're doing very well. Some of them I think have passed the 1,000 mark. So, and they're brand new. So that means like if you're one of the people that need that specific language help, we will link all that stuff in the description below actually, and you can join those communities on Telegram and get all your questions answered there. That is the quick Marhaba update.
That's awesome. That's
Next thing.
awesome. Which groups are you in? The Turkish one, Russian one. Which ones are you in? Are you
I don't
multilingual?
if there was one which was in French and Urdu or Punjabi or something like that, I could have been more active on. But the others, funny thing, I have to use Google Translate. And then
Yeah.
I have to answer with it with Google Translate, so it's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
that'd be pretty funny. The type of answers you get, but no, but that's awesome news. That is fantastic news. It's hard not to, you know, sound like we're like not shilling a coin, but it's you guys got to look into it. You just got to look into it. Check out the if you don't want to read the white paper, read the light paper. If you're going to be investing anything more than, you know, honestly, even you probably should read a white paper if you're going to invest more than a couple of
Yeah,
$100, right? But like
yeah,
you really need to do the research. Like me and Ahmed,
hmm
we're not necessarily. I know Ahmed comes from a finance background, but the crypto stuff that's just by reading. Like we're not experts
yeah,
for any other. It's just reading and doing the research. And this
hmm
here, when you look at the Muslim world, and you see like you know the I guess the products that are out there, there's nothing out there that's servicing that world. But also too, like we've spoken about this in previous episodes as well. The reason why Islamic finance has so many eyeballs on it and has so much interest from, I guess, you know, the Western world, it's not a Muslim only thing. There's a lot of risk mitigation policies. Like Islamic finance has security blankets inside of it. And
yeah,
objectively, forget like, you know, like religion for a second. Just objectively, right? Whether you're like a non-practicing Muslim or you're a non-Muslim following this channel, it just makes sense. Like Binance, and I didn't even cover it because there's so much to cover in the market update. Binance
hmm
is adding extra KYC in Australia right now. Like they've, you know, banned withdrawals if you haven't done certain KYC limits. Like just this week, they reduced leverage trading. FTX did it. All these things are not allowed in Islam anyway, because when the market pumps, it pumps higher. When it
yeah,
crashes lower. So that's what I mean by like a security blanket in place. It's risk averse while still being very, very
yeah.
ambitious. The other thing I'll sort of add to that is last week we did one of our most popular videos. I interviewed the head of public relations and also Amir San as well from the Marhaba team, who's in the head of investor relations. Oh, I was going to be really
hmm
embarrassed if I didn't get that out. So head of investor relations, head of public relations, and they answered rather 10 or 12 of the most popular investor questions. So if you're that guy or girl who preferred watching the movie as opposed to reading the book at high school, then, you know, sure, maybe check out that video, but also do your readings as well.
Yeah, maybe we can link that video up in here or in the description or somewhere, and you can click on it and you can watch it. It's a phenomenal video. I think it's an opportunity for you to really get a chance to check out the project from an investor's perspective. And if that's what your goal is, to just invest and you're not emotionally in line with the project, that's okay. As long as you know you are happy and content with what you're investing in, that's what's more important. All right, now what's next? Community question of the week.
It's a
All
good one.
right, take profits. This is take profits. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Moby, you ready for my story?
Let's go for it.
All
I
right,
don't really
before I
have a
take
choice,
that,
so let's
I
go for it.
remember, you got to be a great storyteller if you're in marketing. So let's go. So let me tell you guys a story about a genius fool. This guy spent hours of analysis and found a few great cryptos. After seeing that the investment is in 50% profit, he got greedy and decided, let's wait till it hits about 90%. Right before the 90% Bitcoin crash, and so did the rest of the cryptos that he had selected. The profit went into loss in a few weeks. That fool is me. So this is
Is
a
that
story
is that
about
true?
me.
Because I saw this in the notes. Is that really you? Did that really happen to you? Like I think it's happened to a lot of
Oh,
us. But are you talking about yourself
yeah.
here?
Well, I mean, mine wasn't as devastating as this, but to really bring the vibe to the story, I had to add that part. But yeah, mine was similar. I didn't go into loss. I just went into a decreased profit amount due to my
Which to be
greediness, and which
honest,
is
a
the
lot
truth.
of us did after May. A lot of us
Mhm.
did down 30-40%. Yeah, so there's yeah, I think we can resonate with that story for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And this was in the initial stages of when I got into crypto. And this is at the same time crypto was going up. I think this was in early last year or around that January, February era time.
Before the COVID sort of
And
crash, yeah.
yeah, and this is when I was like jumping back into crypto after a long gap, right? You remember the last time I had a peak and then it went down, and I was for that after it started going down, I was just like, okay, screw crypto,
2017,
and I went,
2018, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then I went back into stocks, and then when crypto started picking up again, I jumped in, and now I've realized the cyclicals, and now I know I'm a believer not because of the markets, but because of utility and the reasons behind crypto. And if anybody has read the fatwa on crypto um, from Mufti Faraz Adam or this fatwa on Bitcoin, you will realize, crypto is used for many things. And if you read books on crypto, utility, currency is not the only thing. So once I started realizing that, I became a believer. And now, obviously, it's a long-term thing. But yeah, Kat, so initially, because I was coming from stocks, I was like, oh my God, 50%. And in stocks, that's like a 1 year play. If you got a good stock, that's a year play. Or if you do penny stocks, which I've had like 70% profits in some of my investments, alhamdulillah. But I was like, man, this is quite a bit. And I think it can go to 90. And then it went down to, I think, for 30% profit, 25% profit. I had to say loss because of the emphasis of the story. But the important point here is, Moby, you'll agree with me on this, I hope, is take profit. And take profit in a structured method. I've researched on a few different methods of taking profit, and I found one that has worked with me. Um, and I'll share that with you guys. But before that, Moby, do you have any points on this? Do you have any comments on this? Do you want to share about a story where you felt like a fool?
Probably on a daily basis, like maybe on an hourly basis if you ask my wife. No, I honestly, like, the only thing I'll add to that is this week, I was really grateful for this week. Where we had those two crashes in a week, because we talk about, everyone says this, right? And when you get into crypto, all your friends will tell you, all your friends that got you into crypto will tell you this: take profits, stop losses, take profits, stop losses, right? And you're like, yeah, cool. Maybe you do it once or twice, and then you get lazy, like, especially if you get a bit of a pump. But you can't do that. You simply cannot do that, because like it's always the pain of losing something when you could have sold it is a lot more than if you set profits at 20% and 30% and then it goes up more, because you still have some left. You don't have to sell it all. That's the thing. You don't have to sell it all. You can sell a percentage. And that pain when it goes up more, it might sting you a bit, but you're like, that's okay. Just set my next mark. So that's not going to hurt you as much as when this market crashes, and this market is going to crash, and that's when you're going to regret it. So if you have 10 coins and you don't have at least 5 like stop losses or take profits or notifications, watch this episode or pause this episode and go and do that right now. Go and do that right now. If you got like 10 coins, if you've got the amount of coins you have, if you don't have half that number of stop losses and take profits, just pause this video and go do that right now. Because China could collapse, whatever could collapse. It's going to come back, but that's going to be a painful winter for you to, go through.
For sure. And I think what's important here, we're telling people to take profits and stop losses and all that stuff.
I think you had a really good formula you shared with me, which I actually, took your advice last week. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So this is something that I've done, and this has came after researching some things, some methods, and then me working with my own personal risk management methods. And now I feel like this is one of the best ways that I can manage my take profit strategy. So first, what I do is when I invest in a token, I know exactly the point that I've invested. So for easy reference, we'll say $100. Well, okay, $100 is too much. Okay, so we'll say $1. And if it goes up 20%, so I'm in profit of 20%, so it's $1.20, I take back about 15 to 20% I take out of that investment. So the range usually is about 15 to 17%. I usually range around 15% exactly. I take out of that. And then when it goes up another 20% from $1.20, which would be, times that by 1.2, which would be something like 144 or something like that. Then you take out another 15% from that, what's left. And you keep doing this until you have taken now, enough of your profits and enough of your investments. And even if it does go down a little bit, that's where you need to make sure that every time you take a little bit of the profit, you increase your stop loss to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And that is all dependent on the chart analysis, and you're gonna have to get a little bit good with the chart analysis. You're gonna potentially have to lose a little bit of money to understand how these work. So, or I recommend you can watch an entire YouTube video on stop losses and take profits, and they'll go into full details showing you the Binance or trading view charts, and they'll show you exactly how to do it. So if it goes, so to summarize, it goes up by 20%, you take about 15% out, and then you push your stop loss up towards the potential troll, and then again and again and again. But what's going to happen is you're potentially not going to make as much money, but what you end up will be doing is you're going to be protecting yourself from the potential of that entire profit market, that profit margin going down, to so that you're maybe not making as much money as you would have by using a formula like this. Me and Mo, we were talking about this. We've talked about how we can make this a little bit more advanced, where you, as soon as it goes up, you take your profit, and when it comes down, you put that money, that amount of profit back in. So it's going to be a compounded effect of about 15%, not an interest-based compound, but a equity or stock or a crypto-based effect where you're increasing at a higher percentage each time. So you got to play around with this, but remember, guys, regardless of use my strategy or any strategy, take profit. It's important.
And keep it simple. Like, keep it simple. Like, it's if you're like, oh, okay, cool. Now if I, all right, I'll sell a percentage now, and now I have to wait to buy back in. If you don't want to watch charts and you don't want to look at levels, you don't need to look at charts for this, but it really, really does help, then don't do that. Keep it really, really simple. Keep it absolutely simple. So like the one reason why, and even me, like if I look at charts, it's like one or two charts. I'll look at the market move of Bitcoin, my big one, Ethereum. And to be honest, even Solana, like my next one, I don't look at the charts for that. But where charts are useful is it gives you a little bit of confidence, because you will notice there's points where the price action bounces up or off. We call it support and resistance. So, like you say, Ahmed, like if you see a price go up and, you think, okay, now it's a good time to buy, now it's a good time to sell, where you might want to consider buying back is that support where it tends to bounce off of, Exactly. So that's where it's important. But I sort of want to reiterate, if that's complicated, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, be a long-term value. If you don't even want to do that, just be a long-term value investor and don't FOMO into all the crappy coins out there. But just to sort of reiterate, because this took my slow, non-maths brain to get my head around, and Ahmed, you correct me if I'm wrong, if it goes up, I think the key thing is moving the stop loss. So if it goes up 20%, then what I do, so if I'm going in fresh and I have my investing bag, I'll set a first stop loss to and this is just me. I'm happy to lose 20%. So if I put $100 in, I'll set a stop loss. If it drops 20%, then I'll lose 20% of my investment, and then that pulls out. Yeah. But if it goes up 20%, I have an alert, and then I take profits. Then, and this is what, just to break down what Ahmed was saying, then I move my stop loss. I don't put it minus 20% anymore. Now I move it to the break-even point, right? And then if it goes up another 20%, now my stop loss, I don't leave it at the break-even. I move it up to my previous take profit. So to keep it really, really simple, you just move everything up a level as you go up 20%. Again, it will take you, like Ahmed said, do some research, look into it, but keep it really, really simple. And, is that what you sort of agree with, Ahmed, or would you?
The concept is exactly what I mean. The concept is perfectly correct. It's just that the amount that you move up or down, that's going to be very dependent on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, or it's going to be very dependent on the charts. Right? Sometimes you're going to see the charts move up by 20%, and sometimes you'll see them move up only by like 10%. So you got to be careful as how much you're moving your stop losses up. And this is going to be a tangent, but I guess I can go on it. It's already a long episode. This is something I learned from Forex. You got to think like the bankers. And the bankers want to hit your stop losses and get you out of the market quick. So you don't want to put your stop losses too close that the bankers can hit your stop losses and then you're out of the game. You want to keep it at a perfect amount where you know what, it kind of just slides it and it goes back up. Because if it hits your stop losses and then it goes up, then you're just sitting there like, oh, I just lost the opportunity. So you got to be very like, and once you start doing it, maybe you've done it for a few weeks now or a few days now. Once you start doing it, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. You'll be like, okay, I know exactly how much to move up or down. And guys, remember this: these tricks and techniques and these technologies and these understandings and these methods are all helping you to increase your probability of profiting. You, if you're just putting in a token and you're not doing anything, it's a 50-50%. What these all these things help you do is make your 50% jump to an 80% profit margin percentage. There's still a chance you may still lose, right? That's the way the market works. So these things are just there to help you increase your profit, take money home, feed your kids, and have a good life. If you don't have
Absolutely.
kids like me, then feed
And
yourself.
then you probably have more. I don't want to say a better life because I don't know who's going to watch this. I'm playing. I love my children, my family. You probably just not as probably have more time on your hand.
We,
I think
we'll
I'm digging
crop
a
this
hole. I
out.
know. I'll just leave it. I'll just stop. I'll stop while I'm ahead. No, but what I was going to say is mix it up. You can have different
Yeah.
strategies. Like with my Ethereum, I don't
Yeah.
do that. I don't do that. Like, if I have my, like, one, you might have your one or two ones that a lot, like, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still a great coin to invest in. It's not one that's going to 2, 3, 4x like Solana is, but it's still a long-term hedge. Still not a bad hedge. Something like that, you might not need to do this strategy. But with your
Exactly.
others, you do. So with your more speculative ones, you do. So yeah, just sort
Yeah.
of keep it simple, But no, it's
All
okay.
right.
It's been 2 weeks since we've done a show, so it's not a bad one. We've done. I think it was a very important one. It was a good reminder for us as well, because I've done that. I've set stop
Mhm.
losses. Then I haven't done it for months because you think you're the best trader on earth. You're not losing money, and then you feel the pain after. So I think very valuable episode. And guys, if you
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
value in this and you know someone who'll benefit, share it, like it, comment, subscribe. I think a couple of weeks ago we hit our first 100 subscribers. So thanks guys for that. And stay here because we'll always give it to you straight.
Yeah, we're blunt, honest, and we bring our own opinions to the table and try to give you guys as much information as possible. And our goal is to try to do that with the whole faith-based vision, right? We try to filter out the stuff that you wouldn't want to know about and all that stuff. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot once again for coming to the show. As always, subscribe, share, like, comment, all that fun stuff. Check out our other social media. And as Moby has said, please, if you find this valuable, share this with other people because it might be Satka Jari for you. Because if we help them make some good money or something good, they make a good decision throughout watching this video, or they're more informed, they have more ilm through watching this show, and Sadqa Jariyah for yourself and ourselves also, inshallah. Thank you guys as always. As always, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.